Hi guys, I sent you a message on Friday about the AP exam. I'm going to explain just a little bit about what we do know about the AP exam for Spanish language and culture so far. There's a lot of speculation going on right now. They are not going to give us the official format until April 3rd. And so once I find that out, I will let you know. I realize we will be on break at that point, but I will let you know what's going on. So we know so far that the AP exam is going to be 45 minutes long. It's going to take place in your home. It's probably still going to take place around the same time as what was originally scheduled, which I believe we were scheduled for May 12th. However, the difference would be that there will be no multiple choice sections. So the section with the reading and the multiple choice, not going to be there. Listening multiple choice, again, not going to be included, and then that listening and reading combined will also not be included. So that leaves us with just 4 other components. The other component that will more than likely not be included will be the persuasive essay, because that section in itself takes 40 minutes, and so we do not think, we as in the AP teachers around the country, we do not think that will be included. What we think at this point that will be included are 3 main things. The interpersonal conversation, and so we'll be working on that here in the next few weeks. The email reply, so we'll be going over all those strategies and practicing with that as well. And then finally, the cultural comparison, which is what we're going to talk about today. So again, this is really just speculation right now, but all of the AP teachers have been discussing quite a bit throughout, like I said, all the AP Spanish teachers in the United States. We've been discussing what we think is going to be on it, and that's what we think at this point. So right now I'm going to go over some hints that our workbook gives us in creating a good cultural comparison, and then you guys are going to do one of those today. What I really want you to focus on in doing this, guys, is that at this point, yes, it's a relief maybe that you're going to have all those sections taken away from this exam, but that's only going to give you 3 sections to really prove what you know, and I think you guys are really great at that, but I want to make sure that you get the sufficient amount of practice in before we get into this, so that way you know what you're doing. So here we go. All right, some different strategies for the cultural comparison. So the first one would be to understand the format. I think you guys are very good at this. You understand already that your job is to compare something within your community to a Spanish-speaking culture or cultural community, whether it's a country or region, and based on whatever the prompt is. So you need to make sure that you understand that. You need to make sure that you pace yourself. Again, you have 4 minutes to prepare and then 2 minutes to record. So in me allowing you to do these, or me assigning these cultural comparisons to you, please, please, please set a timer, set that 4 minutes to prepare, and then that 2 minutes to record. It's also important that whatever process that you go through while you're practicing, that you continue to do the same thing when we do the test itself. Know the objective. You're expected to demonstrate your understanding of the target culture community and compare your observations of those communities with your own experiences. So make sure you understand that. Use the prompt to formulate a response. The prompt is going to be there for you. So it's going to tell you what the topic is. It's going to give you a framework for your presentation. Use the wording that's in the prompt to kind of restate that introduction and maybe even your conclusion. And so that way you know and you stay on track for what they're actually looking for. Number 5, jot down notes. Again, you have 4 minutes. I really encourage you to either do a Venn diagram or a T-chart, and in that 4 minutes, quickly jot down your notes. That way you have something to look at, and you'll have something to look at as you're presenting. So the more that you can get down in that 4 minutes, the better when you go to record for your 2 minutes. Use your personal knowledge. Again, you're going to determine how the topic relates to your own culture, and then you're going to write down your ideas. You're going to determine which area or country or region of the Spanish-speaking world you have the greatest familiarity with, and then relate how that topic goes back to that and write down a few notes. So some of you maybe have been to Spain, some of you might be soccer fans or have people that you follow in Argentina. Some of you may have been to Mexico. Whichever one you feel like you're most familiar with, that's probably what you should stick with. Use acquired knowledge. You guys have had 5 years of Spanish. So there's been a lot of readings, film, videos, lectures, social networks, the internet, and other things that you have come across in that 5 years. Use that information to help you to create a good comparison. You do not have to cite specific sources. You don't have to say according to this website or this book, but they do expect you to be accurate. And we talked about this before. That just means you can't say there are blue horses in Spain. That's not true, and you can't make something up for this portion. So make sure that you're using knowledge that you can recall correctly and accurately. The next one would be choose your format. Make sure your presentation has a logical and coherent structure. You can do a point-by-point comparison in which you discuss one similarity and difference at a time and work your way through both cultures at the same time, or you can do a subject-by-subject comparison in which you speak about one culture first and then you speak about the second culture second. Make an outline. So it's going to be super important that when you go to present, after even you've done that Venn diagram, that you have some type of an introduction stating your intended comparison. You discuss 2 to 3 main points of comparison between the two cultures, and then you conclude with an evaluative statement, or basically just concluding what you've done with your comparison. Be specific. Provide details proving your knowledge, such as geographic, historical, artistic, or political aspects of the culture. So it might be important that if you're talking about Spain and you mention something about the capital city, Madrid, those are things that you are showing that, hey, I know Spain's capital is Madrid, or I know that they have a city called Barcelona in Spain, something along those lines. Compare and contrast. Make sure to provide a comparison, which is always your similarities, and to also contrast, which are your differences, and then write down your ideas. Be concise. Focus on fewer but clearly compared or contrasted aspects of the two cultures rather than providing extra information for each independently. So don't go on and on about one thing. You only have 2 minutes, and I think you're starting to realize that isn't too long. So make sure that you are being concise with your language. Strive for conclusion. Guys, this is huge, and I've told you this before. You have to conclude this. You've got to pace yourself to where you provide some type of a concluding statement. Your time is limited, so make sure you cover both cultures and that you bring it together with a logical conclusion. Speak coherently. It's going to be super important if you use transitional phrases and cohesive devices to add fluency to your presentation. I've included some here for you just to use. Por otro lado or por otra parte, that's like saying on the other hand. That's a great phrase. Those are 2 great phrases to use when you're comparing and contrasting. También, you guys know what that one means. Al contrario, to the contrary. Al igual que, equal. It's equal that, blah, blah, blah. You will help you connect the information across cultures. I would really encourage you, if you don't already use these phrases, to memorize these phrases. Vary your vocabulary. It's going to be important that you use a variety of words and that you don't just stick with the same things over and over and over again. Raise your level of communication. So there's a few different ideas that go behind this. Use rich vocabulary and culturally appropriate idiomatic expressions. Avoid the overuse of common vocabulary. So they encourage you to really reach outside the box to impress the listener or scorer. So again, this is a real life person, probably just like me, probably a Spanish teacher, who's listening and trying to decide, are you able to use language that's a bit more complicated than what you use in Spanish 1 or 2? Use a variety of structures, including compound sentences, rather than only safe structures. So don't just stick in the present tense. Add some other things in there as well. Correct your errors. You guys have done a fantastic job of this as of late, and you guys know this. If you make a mistake and you hear that you've made a mistake, correct it. Say lo siento and keep going. Use a loud and clear voice. I know that was kind of hard when we would do this in the classroom all together. I guess one big good thing that can come from you doing this exam at home is that it could be quiet. So make sure that you really start to work on this, that you're really projecting your voice and that I can hear you. Some of you, it's very hard to hear when I go to grade this, and this would be a thing that I think a lot of you can work on. It's super easy to fix. Memorize the direction lines. Guys, I don't even know if we've ever read the instructions for this, but you don't need to. You know what's expected of you if a cultural comparison comes up. You get 4 minutes to prepare, 2 minutes to present, you read the prompt, and you decide what you're going to say about it. All right, attached to this Google Classroom assignment, again, will be the cultural comparison that I would like you to do. Please, again, time yourself 4 minutes to prepare, 2 minutes to record using Pages, and please make sure that you're sending the sound document, not the whole document, just the sound directly to me, and then I'll be grading it. If you have any questions, please let me know. But this, again, my goal at this point is to begin preparing you for what they think is going to be on this exam. Have a good day, guys.